On the Caribbean Sea, a happy family is having a wonderful vacation together on a yacht. The mother, Julia, jumps into the water to go for a swim. Suddenly, something starts pulling at her leg, and she desperately starts screaming for help. Her daughter, Cassie, cannot hear her because she has her headphones on while her husband, Tom, and her son, Ben, are busy with their fishing. Julia continues to struggle to stay afloat, and yelling is getting harder because of the water getting into her mouth. Soon, Tom realizes he has not seen Julia in a while and searches the yacht until he finally sees his wife in danger. Tom jumps into the water to help his wife. He swims back to the yacht where the family comforts her, who does not know what happened and blames it on a current. At night, Cassie gets a call from her friend, who shows her that huge thunderous clouds have appeared above the city. Cassie rushes back to her family to tell them what happened. At that moment, they hear a noise and go outside to discover a pod of whales passing by. Whales follow the Earth's magnetic field, but when storms cause abnormalities, the confused whales follow the storms. Julia repeatedly tries the yacht radio while Cassie keeps looking for a signal on her phone. Eventually, the yacht stops working and is stranded in the middle of the sea. Tom says they have enough water and food for 4 days, so they will have to wait for a fishing boat to pass by. Suddenly, the radar detects something nearby. They rush outside and are shocked to watch several satellites landing on Earth, making huge impacts as they crash. A satellite falls into the water nearby, so Tom rushes to force the yacht to move again. As the engine struggles to move ahead, another satellite falls and hits the hatch. The family holds on to each other and hides inside in fear, not noticing that the compass is going crazy. Tom keeps trying the radio. Suddenly, the family hears a high-pitched noise and the wind gets worse. Julia tries to keep the doors closed. Tom lights a flare before darkness takes over. The next morning, the family wakes up and they're surprised to realize they survived the storm, although the yacht is mostly destroyed. The family goes outside only to discover that all the oceans in the world have disappeared, and now the yacht is stuck on land. After staring at the desert in shock, the family tries to think of what to do. Cassie looks for a signal, but nothing happens. Tom checks the compass and notices that the poles have been reversed. Last time this happened was more than 700,000 years ago. Tom tries the radio again and gets in contact with a man named John, the captain of a submarine. His vessel has also gotten stuck on land, and he confirms that the magnetic poles have reversed, causing the ocean to retreat and submerge the mainlands. John has not found other survivors and says that most communication systems are down. Since there are occasional systemic movements, he has concluded that the poles will reverse again and the seas could return in a week. The submarine has room for 3 people. Julia and Tom convince him to save their kids, so he gives them his coordinates. Tom calculates that it will take them 2 or 3 days to find the submarine. So, he tells the family to have a good night of sleep. The next morning, the family is packing their supplies when Tom sees something moving nearby. It is a limping man with a makeshift harpoon and a dog that keeps on barking. Tom approaches him and gives him a bottle of water, but he cannot understand the man's language. After drinking, the stranger hits Tom with the bottle and kicks him in the face. A terrified Julia comes running, but it is too late. The guy is already stabbing Tom in the stomach with a harpoon. The dog is biting Tom's neck. Tom's body twitches for a few seconds before the guy cuts his throat too. Next, the man starts chasing after Julia and even throws the harpoon, which only cuts her shoulder. This does not stop Julia from rushing to the yacht and getting to her children, telling them to hide while she locks the doors. The siblings get inside the sofa and Julia gives them the flare gun before grabbing a knife and hiding in the bathroom. The man bursts inside. Julia manages to avoid him by climbing out through a hole in the wall. The guy looks out and does not see her, but when Julia tries to sneak away, the dog starts barking at her. Suddenly, it tackles her to the ground, leaving Julia no choice but to kill it with a knife. The stranger hears the dog whining and comes out to find its body, causing him to have a breakdown. Unfortunately, the man finds her when she was trying to get back inside through the broken window and knocks her down with a punch. Julia holds on to the furniture as he tries to drag her away, and in the struggle, she manages to kick him off. Then, the guy steps on her wrist to make her drop the knife. He grabs her by the hair and smashes her face on the floor before throwing her on the sofa to start choking her. He grabbed Julia from behind, trying to kiss her passionately. Julia resisted, but the man was strong enough to force his lips onto hers. He grabbed her butt very tightly. The kids have been watching everything and cannot take it anymore. So Cassie comes out and shoots the man with a flare. A fire immediately starts spreading through the yacht, so the kids run out. But Julia goes back to kick the man in the face and grab the map and their bags. Ben and Cassie cling to their father's body, and soon Julia joins them so they can all say goodbye together in tears. At that moment, the creepy man comes out of the yacht, so the family starts running away while the yacht blows up in a big explosion. Sometime later, the family stops at a small waterfall to rest. Julia urges the family to keep moving since the strange guy is still following them. As they continue to travel, they keep seeing other things stuck on the ground, like big dead sea animals and all the plastic from the bottom of the ocean. When Ben starts to slow down, Julia notices he is on the verge of dehydration. Eventually, the group finds a crashed plane. The family decides they will spend the night inside the plane. In the middle of the night, Cassie leaves the plane to relieve herself. Suddenly, the creepy man surprises her from behind. He tied Julia's hand with a rope and started removing her clothes. He is hastily removing her jeans and spanking her butt. He is now opening 2 buttons from the top of her shirt and about to kiss her neck. Julia is trying every possible to resist this man, but she is very helpless. He is now pressing her against the wall to remove her shirt, but Julia jumps on him first and repeatedly stabs him with unleashed grief and fury. Cassie has to help her calm down with a hug. The next morning, the man's body is covered in fleas. The family notices it has many bite marks, so there must be some animal hiding in the area. After the group leaves, a bunch of crabs come out of the man's mouth. A few hours later, Julia and Cassie stop to look at the map. The family keeps on traveling and has to cover their heads to protect them from the scorching sun. Julia is shocked to discover a swarm of crabs coming closer. The family starts running as fast as possible. They come across a huge cargo ship and run towards it, noticing that 3 crew members are still alive. The woman wants to help them, but the 2 men refuse and the group hides inside a container which they lock to keep the family out. The crabs are almost there, so Julia makes the kids climb to the top of the container. When she starts climbing too, the crabs begin to violently pinch her leg. The siblings have to help her mother up before she is dragged down. There is a hole on the side of the container, so half of the crabs go inside. The crew members open fire, but there are too many critters. Soon, the crabs overpower and kill 2 of the workers. The last man reaches a hole in the ceiling, only for the crabs to bring him down and kill him too. Afterward, Julia bandages her leg injury and passes out. Sometime later, she wakes up in a sandstorm and finds herself alone. She panics as she comes down to look for her kids, although first she grabs the dead woman's weapon. Hearing her mother screaming, Cassie quickly comes back and explains that they went out to look for help, but they did not find anyone. Then they reunite with Ben, who has found an open container they can rest in until the storm is over. Julia uses Tom's lighter to cauterize the wounds, which is incredibly painful. Once the storm is over, the family finds a bunch of water bottles in another container. Next, they check on the bodies and discover a radio plus a gun. Julia calls John and informs him she has lost the map. In return, John reveals he has been attacked by a swarm of crabs. It seems the oxygen has driven them crazy. John tells the family to hurry because his instruments have calculated that the sea will come back faster than expected, so they only have a few hours. He shoots a flare and the family starts walking in that direction. After a long walk, they can finally see the submarine nearby, but they will have to cross a huge rock formation to reach it. As they make their way through, the walls start shaking and rocks begin to fall, causing a massive rock slide. Julia pushes her kids out of the way just in time and moves back to avoid getting crushed. Now there is a rock wall blocking the way between them. Julia tells the kids to keep going without her, as John have already mentioned that the submarine have only 3 slots. But Cassie refuses and insists her mother should try climbing. An argument ensues, and after lots of yelling, Julia promises she will find her kids later. A reluctant Cassie then finally drags her brother away. The kids climb the rest of the rocky formation and run toward the submarine, but find John bleeding outside. He explains it is over for him so the kids can take the submarine. Realizing they will have an extra spot, Cassie runs back to find her mother. Meanwhile, Julia is horrified to see the crabs coming and opens fire. She manages to kill a few of them, but the swarm is too big and she cannot fight them all. At that moment, Cassie appears on top of the wall and offers her hand. So, Julia starts climbing as fast as possible with her wounded leg, with Cass's help. She reaches the other side and they run together to the submarine. Ben is already standing on the roof and opens fire to keep the crabs distracted while his family climbs too. Julia takes the gun and keeps the fire going while she makes the kids go inside. Once they are safe, she realizes she is out of bullets, so she throws the gun at the crabs and joins her children inside. The family makes sure to lock the hatch properly and watches the crabs surround the submarine on the windows. At that moment, the ocean finally returns, so the trio rushes to their seats and puts on the belts before holding hands. The raging waves soon hit the submarine and start throwing it around, causing Julia to have visions of everything that happened and Cassie to throw up. Soon, the high-pitched noise returns and knocks the family out. Sometime later, Julia and the kids wake up and are happy to confirm they are alive. They unlock the hatch and go out to discover that the waves have dropped the submarine in a destroyed city, which means there is hope to survive and rebuild.